Good morning, students. I want to continue with Chapter 9 of Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, the Hammer of Thor. Chapter 9 heading is Never Take a Bubble Bath with a Decapitated God. Someone please explain to me why I have to dream when I'm dead. There I was, floating in the darkness of non-existence, minding my own business, trying to get over the fact that I'd just been decapitated. Then I got dropped into these weird, vivid nightmares. Really annoying. I found myself on a 30-foot yacht in the middle of a storm. The deck heaved, waves crashed over the bow, sheets of gray rain slammed into the wheelhouse windows. In the captain's chair sat Uncle Randolph, one hand clenched to the wheel, the other strangling his radio handset. His yellow raincoat dripped puddles around his feet. His close-shaved head glistened with salt water. In front of him, the control board's monitors showed nothing but static. "Mayday!" he yelled into the handset like it was a stubborn dog refusing to do a trick. "Mayday, curse you! Mayday!" On the bench behind him, a woman and two young girls huddled together. I'd never known them in life, but I recognized them from photographs in Uncle Randolph's office. Perhaps because I'd just been inside Randolph's head. I was able to pull their names from his memory. His wife, Caroline, and his daughters, Aubrey and Emma. Caroline sat in the middle, her dark brown hair plastered against her face, her arms around her daughter's shoulders. "It'll be all right," she told the girls. She glanced at Randolph with a silent accusation. "Why have you done this to us?" Aubrey, the youngest, had the Chase family's wavy blonde hair. Her head was bowed, her face set in deep concentration. She held a model of the yacht in her lap, trying to keep the toy level despite the 15-foot swells that rocked the wheelhouse, as if by doing so she could help her father. Emma was not as calm. She looked about 10, with dark hair like her mother's and sad, weary eyes like her father's. Somehow I knew that she'd been the most excited about this trip. She had insisted on coming along for Dad's big adventure, his search for the missing Viking sword that would finally prove his theories. Dad would be a hero. Randolph had not been able to refuse her. Now, though, Emma trembled with fear. The faint scent of urine told me that her bladder was not holding up under the stress. With each pitch of the boat, Emma shrieked and clutched her pendant to her chest, a rune stone Randolph had given her for her last birthday. I couldn't see the symbol, but somehow I knew what the symbol on the rune was. I don't know if you can see that, but the rune symbol looks like that. Othada, whatever that means. Inheritance. Randolph saw Emma as his successor, the next great historian archaeologist of the family. "I'll bring us home," Randolph's voice crackled with despair. He had been so sure of his plans, then confident about the weather. They would make an easy trip from the harbor. He had done extremely thorough research. He knew the sword of summer must lie at the bottom of the Massachusetts Bay. He imagined himself making one quick dive. The old god of Asgard would bless his efforts. This would bring the sword to the surface and lift its blade into the sunlight for the first time in 1,000 years. His family would be there to witness his triumph. Yet, here they were, caught in a freak tempest, their yacht being thrown about like a toy in Aubrey's lap. The boat rolled to starboard. Emma screamed. A wall of water engulfed me. I then surfaced in a different dream. Okay, so he dreamed about being on a yacht with Randolph. Now it's a different dream. I surfaced in a different dream. My disembodied head bobbled up and down in a full bathtub that smelled of strawberry soap and mild weed washcloth. To my right floated a cheerful rubber ducky with worn-away eyes. To my left floated the not-so-cheerful head of the god Marmar. What? Seaweed and dead minnows swirled in his beard. Bubble bath foam dribbled from his eyes, ears, and nose. I'm telling ya, his voice echoed in the tiled bathroom. You gotta go, and not just because I'm your boss. Destiny demands it. He wasn't talking to me. Next to the tub, sitting on a lovely avocado porcelain commode, was my friend. My friend Hearthstone. His shoulders slumped, his expression despondent. He wore his usual black leather coat and pants, and starched white shirt, and a polka dot scarf that looked like it had been cut from a Twister game mat. His spiky blonde hair was almost as pale as his face. Girth made a sign in sign language so quickly, with such annoyance, that I could only catch some of the words. Girth is deaf, and so he has sign language. He signs, "Too dangerous, death. Protect this idiot." He pointed to Blitzen, who leaned against the sink with his arms crossed. The dwarf was as damper as always in a walnut colored three-piece suit that matched his skin tone, a bow tie as black as his beard, and a Frank Sinatra-style hat that somehow pulled the whole thing together. "We have to go," Blitzen insisted. "The kid needs us," meaning Magnus. I wanted to tell them how much I missed them, how much I wanted to see them, but also that they shouldn't risk their lives for me. Unfortunately, when I opened my mouth, the only thing that came out was a goldfish frantically wiggling its way to freedom. My face pitched forward into the bubbles. When I surfaced again, the dream has changed. So that was the second dream he had. Let's see what the third dream is. I was still in a disembodied head, so his head got cut off from his body because of the war in Ragnarok. Not Ragnarok, war in Valhalla. I was still a disembodied head, but now, a third dream, I was floating in a massive open jar filled with pickles and vinegar. Oh my gosh. It was difficult to see through the greenish liquid and the curved glass, but I seemed to be on a bar. Neon drinks ads glowed on the walls. Huge hazy shapes sat hunched on stools. Laughter and conversation sent ripples through the pickle jar. I didn't spend a lot of time in bars. I certainly didn't spend a lot of time staring at one through a filthy pickle jar. But somehow, something about this place seemed very familiar. The arrangements of the table, the diamond patterned beveled glass windows on the opposite wall, even the rack of wine glasses suspended above me like pendant lamps. A new shape moved into my vision, someone even larger than the patrons and dressed all in white. "Get out!" Her voice was harsh and ragged, as if she spent her spare time gargling gasoline. "All of you out. I would talk to my brother." With a lot of grumbling, the crowd dispersed. The bar fell silent except for the sound of a TV somewhere across the room. A sports broadcast, a commentator saying, "Oh, would you take a look at that, Bill? His head came right off." I took that comment personally. At the far end of the bar, someone else moved. A figure too dark and large, I had thought it was just a shadow. "It's my bar." His voice was deep, baritone, huffy, and wet. If a bull walrus could speak English, it would sound like that. "Why do you always kick out my friends?" "Friends?" the woman yelled. "They are your subjects, Thrime, not your friends. Start acting like a king. You're the king of the giants, Thrime. Thrym, Thrime. "I am," the man said. "I'm going to destroy Midgard." "Huh. I'll believe that when I see it. If you were a real king, you would have used that hammer that you got from Thor immediately rather than hide it away and hide it for months about deciding what to do with it. You certainly wouldn't trade it to that no good ... Hey, it's an alliance, Thagana. Thrynag, must be his wife. Thagana, the man bellowed. I doubted this guy Thyme was really a walrus, but I imagined him hopping from flipper to flipper, his whiskers bristling. "You don't understand how important this is. I need allies in order to take on the human world. Once I have married Sam..." Plop. I didn't mean to, but as soon as I heard my friend's name, Sam, I screamed inside my pickle jar, caused a huge bubble to break the surface of the greasy green liquid. "What was that?" Thyme demanded. The white shape of Thymga loomed over me. "It came from that pickle jar." She said this like it was the title of a horror film. "Well, kill it," Thyme yelled. Thynga picked up a bar stool and whacked my jar with it, hurtling me against the wall and leaving me on the floor in a puddle of pickled juice and broken glass. Okay, that was the third dream. Now, the fourth. I woke up in my own bed, grasping for air. My hands flew to my neck. Thank Frey, my head was once again attached to my body. My nostrils still burned from the scent of pickles and strawberry bubble bath. Okay, so now he's back in Valhalla. So we had 3 dreams. I tried to parcel what had just happened. Which parts were real, which parts were dreams? The dragon Grimwolf, Alex Farrow, and her Garrot, that's a wire that they use to cut off heads. Loki burning his way inside my head, somehow using Uncle Randolph to get to me. his warning about a wedding in 5 days. All that had actually happened. It actually happened. Unfortunately, my dream seemed just as concrete. I'd been with Randolph on his boat the day his family had perished. His memories were now tangled with mine. His anguish sat on my chest like a block of steel. His loss of Caroline, Aubrey, and Emma felt as painful to me as the death of my own mother. Worse, in a way, because Randolph had never gotten any kind of closure. He still suffered every hour of every day. The rest of the visions, Hearthstone and Blitzen coming to help me. I should have been elated, but I remembered Hearthstone's frantic sign, too dangerous, death. And the scene from the pickle jar. What the hellheim was that? Those mystery siblings? Those misery siblings, Thyme and Thranga? I was willing to bet 50 pieces of red gold. I was willing to bet 50 pieces of red gold and a falafel dinner that they were giants. The one named Thyme had Thor's hammer and planned on trading it for, I swallowed back pickle-flavored bile, to marry Sam. It's up to you to bring the bride and the bride price, Loki had said. An alliance, a one-time offer. Loki must have been out of his mind. He wanted to help us get Thor's hammer back by marrying off Sam. Why hadn't Sam said anything about this? The poor thing is embarrassing, Loki had said. I remember the urgency in Sam's voice when we talked at the cafe, the way her fingers had trembled on her coffee cup. No wonder she needed to find the hammer so badly. It wasn't just to save the world from invasion, blah, 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 blah. We were always saving the world. Sam wanted to prevent this marriage deal. But why would she even think she'd have to honor such a stupid trade? Loki had no right to tell her what to do. She was betrothed to Admar, who she was betrothed to. She loved the guy. I would raise an army of warriors, magic elves, and well-dressed dwarves, and burn down Jotunheim before I let them coerce my friend. Whatever the case, I need to talk to her again. And soon. I struggled out of my bed. My knees still felt worn and achy like Randolph's, though I knew it was only in my head. I limped to my closet, wishing I had my uncle's cane. I got dressed and retrieved my phone from the kitchenette. The screen read 7:02 p.m. I was late for Valhalla's nightly feast. I never taken so long to resurrect from after dying in battle. Usually I was one of the first ones reborn. I remember Alex Farrow standing over me, calmly slicing off my head with her gergot. That's a wire that she used to cut off heads. I checked my texts. Still nothing from Annabeth. I should have been surprised, but I kept hoping. I needed my cousin's outside perspective right now. Her smarts, her assurance that I could handle all the weirdness. My door blew open. 3 ravens flew in, sprawled around my head, spiraling around my head, and then landing on the lowest branch of the atrium tree. They glared at me the way only ravens can do, like I was not worthy of being their roadkill dinner. I know I'm late, I told them. I just woke up. Ka, ka, ka. Most likely translated, get moving, stupid. Sam would have been at the feast. Maybe I can talk to her. I grabbled I grabbed my neck chain, slipped it over my head. The runestone pendant felt comfortably warm against my collarbone, as though Jack were trying to reassure me. Or maybe he was just in a good mood after an enjoyable date with a fine spear. Either way, I was glad to have him back. I got the feeling I would be using a practiced sword for the next 5 days. Things were about to get Jack-worthy. Okay. That was chapter 9. Totally cool. Okay. See you till next time.